are here. We are back. Omega Gohan 4. So we're taking a pause on the Super Saiyan saga to bring Gohan back, and not just to bring Gohan back, but to bring the Earth training back. So we're back on Earth. We're time skipping back a little bit here, back to Earth, and we're getting to what is, I believe, the most important event in Gohan's life. Definitely the most important event in Gohan's emotional life. So before we get into all this, subscribe, hit me up on Twitter, like, comment, and let me know what I've gotten wrong so far, what you appreciate so far. Anything, all right? Anything positive, anything negative, I don't know. But anything positive, definitely let me know where you're at. Gohan. Props goes to Piccolo again for opening up this box. But in that box, in the corner of this box, tucked away in the toy box, you know, you always have that one toy always deep and down that corner that you forget about, but that's still lit. Tucked away in the toy box of the training, the 6 months, the year, whatever you want to call it, Piccolo, which is very important. But what happens more microbially, even more so, that's vital in that training is Gohan's first robot. You know, Gohan meets his first robot. Shout out to Futurama. Futurama is so underrated, one of the greatest TV shows ever. So shout out to all the Futurama fans, all the Futurama creators. Futurama all day. But that's another topic. Gohan's first robot was crucial in his emotional development and the emotional depth that this kid has, and his perspective on life and death and gain and loss, or outright loss. Because Gohan takes a few L's during his time in the wilderness, via or a la Piccolo, right? And these L's really build him up spiritually and emotionally. And this is why I believe that this is his magnum opus and the most important time in his whole life. And this is the most important time and the most important time of his whole life, because without this robot, we don't get that emotional depth. We don't have that connection, that throw it back connection to our childhood, you know, because usually, you know, our childhood is full of our most vivid, potent, strongest memories, and some of them might be not very pleasant memories, but still, our childhood was full of very powerful memories, either on either scale. And I think our brain kind of puts those in the back files, or even puts them in the vault, or outright buries them because they might be too powerful. And when Android 16 comes up, that is just a crack in that vault. That vault's been cracked wide open aggressively, and now we have this. Now we have these emotions that spanning all the way back to the childhood of the individual, mixed with the present thing that's happening. So Cell got what he deserved, all that being the case. But you know, it's like, you know, if you have somebody who passed away, who told you something very important before they passed away, and then you have somebody else come in and tell you almost the exact same thing, or the same thing in a different context, in a different way, you know, that just opens that up. That just makes that connection, that line, alive again to that original person, and then it just makes the present person even more potent, right? Because you can kind of see them, you can see that other person in the present person, and you can hear that person, rest their soul, who said something important to you. You can hear their voice in this new person. And that's what happened with Android 16. But the Android 16 moment is not that big without the previous capsule robot. Technically, they're both capsule robots, and they both seem to have being mechanical as they were, seem to have a really strong grasp on emotions and the nature of an individual and sentient thoughts. And that brings up an interesting question, man. Dr. Gero is probably one of the greatest villains of all time, underrated, because of what he brought to the table as far as his technology is concerned. Developing the off-brand key energy that was Cell, but then also doing the exact opposite track as far as Android 16, that can still be, though, that seemed to have the best senses out of anybody in the whole series. Android 16 seemed to be able to know what's going on even more than Goku did, as far as who was here, who was, as far as power levels and movements and speed of an individual, and where they've been and where they are and where they're not. Like, Android 16 had it all figured out. Android 16 had life figured out. He was just a robot. And that's what Gohan says. Android 16 loved life, and he had life figured out even more than Goku did, and he was just a robot. So then you can imagine the emotional roller coaster, the emotional high or low, whatever you want to call it, that Gohan went through when we get to SSG2, the SSG2 transformation. And Cell poked and pried and dug and, 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 and tapped into an emotional dam that Gohan was holding back. And he plucked the wrong rock off that dam, and then he got fucked up because you don't do that. Our mind puts back stuff for a reason, because those emotions are powerful. But then something else comes to refresh you of those things abruptly, then the floodgates are open, and that's what happened to Cell. Long story short, I mean, I can cut the shit here and be done, because that's basically what happened to Cell. He didn't. I mean, that's kind of happened with Frieza too, but it happened even more so to Cell because Gohan has so much emotion. Gohan again has the biggest heart in the series, and Gohan is the most emotional and has the most emotions in the series. He's most connected with his emotions, most connected with his sensitivity to other people around him in the key energy. So he's not like his father. He's not like Goku. He's not like Piccolo. He's not like Krillin. He's not like his uncles as far as, all right, let's get down. All right, I'm going to throw a punch here, I'm going to throw a punch here, and then you're done. Let's get down. Like, I love the fight. Gohan's not like that, Gohan's very empathetic, and Gohan's very sensitive, and Gohan's a meek individual. He's strength controlled. But then, you had this fuckhead named Cell to pop up who made the strength uncontrolled, and then that was his ass. Because he brought back a very vivid emotion, and that was one of Gohan's first real losses besides his dad. But even this loss, it'd be argued that this loss was more effective than that at the time, because given Gohan's age and the context of the situation, and Gohan being out there and alone and confused and not knowing what to do, and having this robot who seemed to understand, take care of him, and be there for him. And without Gohan's first robot, I don't think we get as powerful of a connection to Android 16, and thus I don't think we get ultimately the ultimate transformation of season 1 through 6, or Dragon Ball through season 6 of Dragon Ball Z, because that blood is not there, that life is not there, the essence is not there. And I don't know why the writers left that out. I don't know why they decided to distance like that and not make that connection on wax for us. Why that particular connection had to be subtextual. I don't get that. Mr. Toriyama, hit me up. Let me know why the first capsule robot in the cave wasn't a factor in, with a flashback or something when Gohan turned Super Saiyan 2. But regardless, I believe that was the most important thing that happened to Gohan in his whole life, to really build him up. And it's one particular anime, as we get to later down the road here, says, emotions are a big part of all of this. And we humans, emotions are a big part. We're emotional creatures. Emotion is a big part of all this, and Gohan is in the best way the most emotional character. And when the power of his emotion gets blended with key energy, because the emotion came from this event, I believe. Because then obviously the whole year training, he takes a lot of L's. The Brachiosaurus and again the foster kids or the orphans and all the other stuff that happens to him. The island. He takes some L's, and he gets a lot of experience points in ways that's not physical and not martial arty. Like his dad. He's getting experience points in a whole different way. And I think in Dragon Ball, Goku gets those experiences too. So that being the case, I can understand why somebody say Goku learns all his experiences in Dragon Ball. But Goku doesn't take a lot of losses in Dragon Ball. Again, it was recess. Gohan loses his dad first of all, and then Gohan's learning all these things on his own, bumping against life and reality as a 5-6-year-old all on his own, taking all these L's, losing friends here and there from different things, and then also Piccolo goes. So, but the first and most important thing that happened was his first robot, and then that was the emotional thing. and then he gets a key energy thing that happens on Namek, right? And then his father steps in and makes it all official, puts the Super Saiyan stamp on it, gives him the technical ability, the physical endurance, um, the the key energy strength, the strength boost to really make it all to really all tie that package all together and make it the most dense and most powerful package in the whole series. But without that first emotional connection, I don't know if Gohan really has the heart that he does when it comes to Cell. I mean, obviously, Gohan's not gonna be a villain without that particular thing happening. But still, it just added so much depth to his emotional to his state and himself as an emotional character, and it just added so much depth to his experiences that I think if you take that away, we just have a more of a shallow character who is incapable of turning up that high because he doesn't have the pain to the L's to feel, to empathize or to internalize. So you got what you deserved because you prod and you poked and you opened up the wrong tread. Obviously the first robot was a big time foreshadowing of Android 16. In the way they talk to Gohan, in the way they interact with Gohan, and the things they do for Gohan. Even though Android 16 has something to say different contextually and just outright literally, his words are different. Still, the message is kind of the same, and the essence of who they were as robots is the same. So when Cell was stepping on Android 16, he was stepping on that other robot all over again. That robot died all over again, but it just wasn't the cave crushing him; it was Cell crushing him. So you fucked up big time, and that makes sense, right? That Gohan had this emotional explosion, given all the things that was going on too. On top of that, he's gonna lose everybody if he didn't turn up. But then that was the one pebble that Cell pulled from the dam to make it all collapse, like in Meatballs, when that one cherry falls down on the food dump dam. That's what it was. That's what it was on Meatballs the movie. If that's what Cell did, when he smashed Android 16's head. First of all, he blew up Android 16, and then he crushed Android 16's head, and that was a cherry on top. Now, who is the better robot? Not Android 16 and the other robot, but Android 16 and Cell. Now that we're on that topic, who is the more sophisticated android or robot? For some reason, robots have a fascination with Gohan. I don't know what that's about, Cell included. But who's the most sophisticated between those two? I think that's a really deep debate. Comment, let me know what you feel, because it can be inferred that Android 16 is slightly a notch above, if not leaps and bounds, more sophisticated than Cell is himself, as far as his technology is concerned. Given the nature of what Cell is, juxtaposed to the nature of what Android 16 is, it can be argued that Android 16 is Dr. Gero's greatest masterpiece and not Cell. That could be very well argued. I would love to hear people who have that point of view. But then again, obviously, from everything that happens in the series, you could say Cell is the more powerful and thus, the more sophisticated. And given Cell's nature as well, outside of the power, you can say that he's more sophisticated because Cell is never satisfied. As we said about Goku, Goku is a satisfied individual. Goku doesn't lust for power in a way that is for himself. He needs the power to help other people. But he doesn't need the power for himself. Cell, he said in his design that he's always going to have a lesser power. It's never going to be enough. So blowing the Earth was going to be not the ultimate step, only the first step. And stealing cells from Gohan was not the last step, but one of the many steps he's going to take to keep satiating his power hunger. It was never going to be enough. And given that, and like I said, the off-brand fake key energy and the whole structure of of his organic hybrid synthetic being, all that's sophisticated too, right? But again, you have Android 16 who had senses even more impeccable than Cell's. He had the best senses in the series, And then again, he was a walking nuclear warhead, but he was all just electronic and mechanical. But he still had these sentient emotions, and he understood life, and he understood love, and he understood everybody. He understood everything that was going on around him, and in the most objective way. Cell was very subjective about how he understood everything, and I guess you could say the same thing about Goku and Gohan. But who's the most objective person in that whole shit? Who sees everything for what they truly are? Who's really in reality? But maybe besides Goku, because is Android 16. And Android 16 saw the same thing Goku did. Android 16 knew what Goku was getting at. You know, he was the only one that probably was really on Goku's team. We'll get to that. You know, but he didn't say anything. But he was probably the only one that really was like, okay, this makes sense, because him being objective and knowing what Gohan brought to the table before everybody else, excluding Goku, did. So Android 16 could be argued that he's the most sophisticated robot between him and Cell. He is Dr. Gero's greatest masterpiece, given what he brings to the table, power wise, senses wise, durability, get shit doneity, objectivity, you know. So comment, let me know. And then also one more thing, one more what if, you know, because say so. The Buu Saga, okay, but let's say we didn't do the Buu Saga. We want to do something else after season 6. Here's one or two things that could have happened. We let Gohan, you know, grow up. We don't nerf Gohan. We let him do his thing, but in that we see Gohan go through the grief of his mistakes that he made in the Cell fight. We see Gohan go through that anguish between him and his mom, and him feeling regret of how he let his father go. And then, you know, we get to a point to where Gohan is successful in a profession. Let's say archaeology. You know, given the connection he had with the first robot and other robots. So he gets hired by Capsule Corp. And Capsule Corp, you know, lets Gohan go to the excavations with a team of robots, and he does really well. And he uncovers some ancient dark Dragon Balls or whatever in one of his excavations, and a whole bunch of shitstorm happens after that. Him and Vegeta got to take care of, or him and Vegeta and Goten and Trunks, you know, whatever. Or we could, or if that's too cliche, okay, we could do this. Gohan is an archaeologist still, and he's still dealing with all the regret that he had, you know, in the year that he spent with his dad. He's reminiscing about that. That was the best year of his life, and that's the only real time they got together. And so he's still kind of frustrated with his dad, and blah 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 blah. He's telling Goten all this. Goten is confused because he doesn't even know who his dad is. And he's a Super Saiyan, but he doesn't know how to get down. So he's really dependent on Gohan. But Gohan, when these excavations, his team of robots start acting weird, and they start doing weird shit. And then Capsule Corp, it's on the news that Capsule Corp's robots and capsules will start doing weird shit, and they're really hurting people, and so their stock is plummeting. Bulma and them go broke, but these robots still keep doing the same thing, and nobody can stop these robots. And it comes down to it that it was a hacker who started manipulating all these robots and making them do weird stuff. And, you know, and then Gohan and Vegeta got to go figure that out. You know, Prince Capsule Corp and Gohan got to go figure that out. And then at that point, Gohan and Vegeta really show how much they care for each other, make their relationship tangible. And how Gohan relies on Vegeta now even more so, and Vegeta relies on Gohan even more so, and Vegeta feels like he's got to take care of Gohan because of his love and respect for Goku, and they get into some talks about that as far as what they mean to each other and what Goku means to both of them, and how much respect he has for Gohan and Goku. You know, man, that shit can be lit. And then one more thing, we'll get out of here. Or you could just give me like the Lost episodes where, you know, we see Vegeta and Trunks in the hyperbolic time chamber, or we see Frieza's come up, or we see the things that happen, you know, kind of like microbially that we didn't get a chance to see because the main plotline was running during the main Dragon Ball Z. So, you know, maybe we can see little pocket episodes, a little like here and there's. Maybe Buma had some other things happen on Namek that we didn't see, or maybe um, you know Chi Chi's struggle, just little anecdote, and there was little pockets of stuff like that. That just kind of would just like seal the deal, fill in the gaps a little bit. Uh, but namely, it'll be interesting to see Vegeta and Trunks and the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, like full blown, like 10 episodes of that, and then obviously Frieza's background, Frieza's come up, and I have plenty of other stuff. Bird Studios, Toei Animation, Mr. Toriyama, DM me, email me. Let's talk about this. We can figure some stuff out. All right. But anyways, that's the World Cheer Project. That's enough said about that. We can get out of here. But all that aside, Gohan's first robot is Gohan's first robot, and I believe it's the most important thing that happens to him in the whole series. Now, it could be argued that the Hyperbolic Time Chamber is that, I can vibe with that argument. But without this emotion, you get a trained Gohan, but you don't have he doesn't have that emotional depth to really dig into himself and burst like the way he did against Cell. I think it just stays at SSG2 and SSG, and that's it. But speaking of SSG. Again, SSG is the most powerful person walking into the whole series. He's the most powerful person in the history of the whole series walking into the cell games. But that's not enough. So what would you need even more than that? You'll need emotional depth and emotional trigger. So, and emotional ammo and emotional trigger. So, Cell provided both of those. But without the robot, I don't believe that there's enough depth or ammo there to really do anything. So, anyways, we're out of here. The World Cheater Project. Thank you so much. We'll get back to Super Saiyan Saga, I believe. We got some other things we need to talk about before we get into the big fight in the end of the series. Because once that's it. Once we're out of here, we're out of here. So we're getting close to that. So it feels like Dragon Ball Z is dragging on. Dragon Balls, because it feels like it's Dragon Ball Z as far as DRAGGIN Ball Z. That means you're right, because it is Dragon. Because I want to extend it out as much as possible. I want to squeeze as much juice out as possible before we get out of here, because once that door's been shut, it can't be open again, as far as in this way. So it's all love. Hope to see you next time. Subscribe if you haven't. Twitter all day. The podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, the links all down below. And we'll see you next time. The World Cheater Project, Rosary Life all day, Team Tenseiga, Team Reverse Blade, Team Slytherin. How about that? and then we'll see you next time. I almost said Team Sephiroth, and that would be bad. Sorry, no, Team Sephiroth. Team Cloud. Team Slytherin. Team Cloud. And then we'll see you next time. The World Cheater Project. Thank you so much.
I'm an orange moon. I'm an orange moon. Reflecting the light of the sun. saw his reflection in me, and he smiled at me when he turned to me. Then he said to me, how good it is, how good it is, how good it is, how good it is. Than before, brighter than ever before. I'm an orange moon, and I shine so bright, 'cause I reflect the light of my sun. I praise the day smile at me. He gets to smile, and I get to be orange. Da 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 dee. How good it is! How good it is! How good it is! How good it is! How good it is, how good it is, how good it is, how good he is. Shine so bright, he rules the day, I'll rule the night. Shine, shine, shine. How good it is, 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 how good he is, how God is, how good it is, how good it is, how good he is, how God is, how good it is, how good it is, how good he is, how God is, how good it is, how good it is. I'm an orange moon, I'm brighter than before, brighter. Reflecting the light of the sun.